another episode of the glorious Stormwater Creek podcast with yours truly, Jared, aka Taco Bear, aka Paco Dominguez.
Taco Dominguez.
Abe the Bush Bullman, Autism
Word.
Brown, and Jadani with our special guest, Wes from Onioncreek.
What's up, buddy?
Onioncreek.
Hey,
what?
how's everybody?
We've talked about this, but I feel like this is one of the. This will probably be the only podcast we ever do where I've known the guests longer than I've known the hosts. So,
And
Wes
this
and I
is my
used to run
second
around.
podcast ever, so
Yeah, exactly. We all know each other very well, so everybody knows. Even though we were talking about how we strangely reconnected at the Dallas tying.
Tailwaters.
Yeah,
Oh
Tailwaters.
God!
I was butchered.
And then you just
you just
Dallas
said
Fly
that.
Tires.
Dallas Fly Tires. There we go. Tires Club or whatever.
Dallas
And
Tire Fires.
Dallas
Fly
Tire.
night at Tailwaters.
Exactly that thing. And so Sean was just like, "Hey, this is Wes," and I was like, "Holy shit, you look familiar!" And you were like, "Holy shit, you look familiar!" And we're like, "Oh my god,
Making bacon.
making bacon." So Wes and I used to run around with Making Grayson, which Austin and everyone calls Making Bacon. So we go way back, man.
I'm gonna be honest. This whole time, I thought the name was Making Bacon.
You're welcome. It's called sales, brother.
Sales. The good leads are under the desk, huh? When was the last time you watched that movie, Austin? Now that you're all salesmen of the year.
Long time.
Glengarry Glen Ross,
Yeah, I know. Been a long time.
Been a long time.
Been back on The Sopranos lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
The
put that
original
shit
or
on
the-
pause, man. You got a job.
Yeah, you do have a job. You're gainfully employed for the first time in a while.
That's not true at all.
Well, you finally moved out of your mom's basement,
That's triggering.
and it's ridiculous. And now you have multiple jobs. So
Killing it.
killing
Living
it,
the
crushing
American
it.
dream.
So Wes, what have you been up to, man? What's been going on in your world?
Man, I've a fairly busy winter with tying wise. Been tying lots of permit flies, folks getting ready to travel. Especially since travel is kind of opening back up again. Between that and hanging out with the kiddo and all that entails, it's been busy, but not too busy. I gear back up here real soon at the music venue that I'm a production manager at. So it'll be getting a little crazy, or at least my schedule will kind of shift around again, and I'll have to juggle multiple things, trying to be a dad and a decent husband, and then also wrangling everything that the, I guess, real job entails, and then trying to fish and trying to stay on top of.
How often do you, as somebody in the fishing industry, how often are you fishing?
Man, not as much as I'd like. It goes in spurts.
Yeah.
Like I fished, I guess, last Monday for the first time in almost 5 months.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that my wife was like, dude, you need to go fish and
Get out of here.
leave whatever it is that this is behind you. So yeah, you can definitely tell that I needed to be out
Get
there
out a
doing
little
it.
bit.
Yeah. So it was good. I got out and fished for a day, and then it was literally right back home. Typically, spring and summer, I'll try to do some longer stints down at the coast. I'll just rent an Airbnb. Like last summer, I did 2 months. I think I did all of May, and then I think all August. So it was good. And basically, I just commute back and forth from there to San Antonio, which is where I work at Floors Country Store out in the Lotus.
Floors is awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty legendary venue. I
Totally.
think they're celebrating their 85th year this year.
Oh wow.
Or 80th, one of the two. I'm not much of a historian, but I know it's been there for a long time, and there's lots of history.
That's old school venue, man. It's cool.
And we try to do our best to make everybody feel super welcome and take care of fans and artists and all that. And
Abe, you've never been there, have you?
I've never been to Floors. I've been to Green Hall. Is probably the oldest, one that I've been to, and then,
House of Blues
in Dallas.
I'm just kidding.
I've definitely been to the House of Blues multiple times.
Yeah, it was a joke because there's nothing historic about a House of Blues.
No, not the one in Dallas for sure. Maybe one in New Orleans or something like that. But I actually did the stage production for the Polyphonic Spree for their New Year's Eve show at the House of Blues, which was
I've heard some crazy things about their shows that they just do ridiculous. It's like a crazy production.
Dude, it took 6 hours to set everything up.
We had 15, 16 piece band.
Oh yeah, 100%. Nine or 12 person just choir, and then 3 or 4 guitar players, one drummer, but then another percussionist, 2 keyboardists, a bass guitar player. I mean, it was insanity. They had this big kabuki, big sheet that hung off the front of the stage that they played behind, and then it dropped, which was just, and it's not only that, but then now it's me and this other guy have to wrangle this, 80-foot sheet up out of the way, and that was just, craziness.
Yeah, I did one and had to, fire it every night, and some nights not all of it fires, so you got to run out.
Just half of it's hanging down. Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, confetti cannons, and then just basically making sure that Tim DeLauder had plenty to drink. That was also my, you make sure that this goes off during these times, and make sure Tim has a full drink. I was like, oh, cool. I guess this is what I do now. So, it was fun getting to run around backstage back there. But no, I have never been to Floors. I would love to go.
We need to remedy that.
I was gonna say, you guys have the Turnpike show going on, right? Isn't that happening at Floors?
We do have one of the I guess first Turnpike shows back.
That's super cool.
Well, it was supposed to be a few that's now turned into
a full tour.
Yeah.
So.
Has it? I haven't kept up with it.
I think if I would have had anything to do with that, I would have just been played 5 arenas around the country and called it a day.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, they've got 4 nights at Billy Bob's.
Oh, wow. Are there tickets
I
available?
thought it was only 2 nights.
Yeah, cashing in, son. Those tickets sold out in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
They got the White Oak. Oh, yeah, it's just a full-fledged tour now. I mean, it's 15 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 different shows. Yeah. All across the country.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're definitely one of the smaller venues that they're doing, but they just had so much history with Floors that it was on their list of one they wanted to come back and do. So
for sure.
Austin
Billy Bob's isn't giant, but Floors is definitely smaller.
Yeah. I mean, I think Billy Bob's got us beat by a couple thousand, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, we're 4,000 cap outside.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize Billy Bob's held that many. It's been quite a while since I've been there.
Well, I mean, it because they sell it, they don't just sell tables. Yeah, they'll sell it as far back as
they'll go.
I mean,
Pack it
it's
full.
it is a big room once you kind of look at it in that regard. So
yep.
Yeah.
We saw Blues Traveler there. Yeah. Not good.
Got hammered drunk and saw Turnpike, Tyler Childers, and Charlie Crockett at Floors. It was awesome.
Nice. That was
cool.
was that 18, 17?
Something like that. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I started there full time. I came off the road from touring, I think in 16 or 17. And then I ended up doing another tour after that just because I couldn't say no. It was a Lyle Lovett tour. And it was one of those that I'm like, well, I mean,
exactly. You got to.
I should probably go do this. So yeah. I did a couple months there, the large band summer tour. And then I was off the road. And I'd filled in at Floors with a buddy of mine for several years, just when I was off the road, and would help out on bigger shows. And then he was switching things up. So I started at the beginning of 20 and worked till, March. And I was there and was like, oh, well, South by just canceled. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that we're done.
Yeah.
So I was out from August. And then I think we opened back up October of that year and somehow managed to fit most of the shows we were supposed to, at least the amount of shows we would have done all year, into just a few months. That
must have been just a barrage of insanity.
God, it was, December hit and I was like, why am I so tired? And then my owner reminded me, well, because we said we were only doing like 25 shows all year, but you just did 25 shows in like 3 months. Because we literally we pulled from 4,000 cap down to 600 cap outside. And some artists would do a matinee show and then do 2 shows. So we'd turn the house, sell 800 tickets, and still kind of function.
Yeah,
just constant.
Yeah,
that is crazy. So, well, I guess we are also coming back from the weekend of Hagarama, which was a Wednesday through Sunday, just schlock through drinking, and we got a lot done and drank 4 bottles of whiskey and
maybe 5.
Yeah. We
somewhere in there.
We drank, and then how much beer? I don't even know how much beer.
Unhealthy.
Just horrible amounts of alcohol we consumed that week. Austin, you have checked the box finally on Raccoon.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty excited about that.
How's that adventure go?
It's fine. I skinned it out, and the skull is Euroing, and the hams are in the freezer, and so is the pelt. I've got supplies on the way.
Are you just getting that?
Ham is fantastic.
What?
Your skinning job looked fantastic.
Thank you. I was pretty proud of the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Getting all the cartilage out of the nose and everything.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
So are you taxiderming a raccoon?
A hide, yeah. I'm just gonna tan it.
Okay.
I've been on wanting to cook a raccoon kick for a couple of years.
Most people look like that. Most people look like that.
And that's
a normal reaction, but I'm into it.
That's the reaction I expect. It's cool. It's not an abnormal thing. It's just a super Southern thing and old. It's not done a lot anymore. It's clearly very doable. And I know what's going to happen is when we start posting about it and I do it, I'm going to be like, oh, because Meat Eater did it. Y'all did it. I'm like, well, I've been talking about this for much longer.
Meat Eater didn't invent eating raccoons.
I know, but they put a couple videos out with it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all right, well, whatever. So, yeah, that's this face skinning job.
Yeah, look at that. Pretty good.
Yeah, so then I just want to make a wall hanger out of the hide for now.
So sleepy.
So yeah, it's just, and I say it's finally got a raccoon. It's not like there's a shortage. I just honestly haven't put a lot of effort into it. And that picture of Jared makes it look like he's diabetic.
You definitely look like a diabetic man.
That's a picture of me in my retirement home.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting a raccoon was cool. The meat smelled great. Like sweet and clean. Like I've cut up pigs and eaten them that smelled more different.
Yeah.
As far as, that kind of smells weird, but fine. This was perfectly fine.
that off questionable smell that you get in some meats, and you're like,
or just
man, I'm
even
gonna still cook this.
gamey or smelling like they've been eating something weird. Just it was clean, super clean. I mean, it's a acorn-fed raccoon from East Texas. I didn't want a city raccoon that lived on Shiner caps and cigarettes and crayons, green crayons,
and just rock hard, like
you can taste
rock
its
hard
anger.
French fried McDonald's French fries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, pretty excited about that. It's gonna be fun.
It's awesome. Well, we also did the proverbial Hagorama tattoo. So Jared, if you don't mind holding up the tattoo. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, by the way, I guess we should, or on Apple Podcasts or whatever, you may be able to cut. You should cut over to the YouTube channel, which is at Stormwater Creek, and you can see some of the stuff that Jared's got going on, and you could also watch as Wes preps for the Texas Fly Fishing Festival and may tie a couple flies. So if you're seeing the screen now, you could see Jared's.
That's yours.
Yeah, well, that's my tattoo, but
that's my portfolio. Screen, that's my tattoo portfolio.
It is.
I've done all.
Yeah, that really is your tattoo portfolio. Yeah. It's
all
fantastic.
You're missing is the pig.
Oh, the cat.
Oh, the yeehaw cat.
Wow.
The yeehaw cat. That's epic.
Yeah, I'm those guys were at Hagorama were convinced that I was going to be held down and have a McDonald's M tattooed on my head.
Have it your way.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm loving it. That's what I wanted.
We don't care what you want if we held you down and tattooed you.
I found this cool picture of Austin. It's a picture of Austin.
It's a goblin.
I mean.
So we
prancing around in a cape.
Wes, we like to. Jared has apprenticed as a tattoo artist and is a tattoo artist basically. I mean, he's done it. I think he's done a very good job. You know.
He doesn't currently make his living as a tattoo artist, but he is a tattooer.
No,
I did piercings for 12 years, and I kind of picked it up here and there, and ended up with a full setup, and it was like, fuck it.
I'm just gonna tattoo dumb shit on my friends.
Needle in a Pizza Hut box.
Yeah.
On location where all the copious amounts of alcohol was consumed.
Always.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah. It was in a trailer. It's even better.
Like
as
a
all
tattoo.
As all homemade tattoos should be.
Yeah, done in a trailer. So yeah, like I said, if you were listening to this, cut over to the YouTube channel and pick up where you left off and watch as you can see us right now, and more importantly, see Wes tying some flies and just general messing around. He may tie one up here later on, but right now, like I said, getting ready for the Texas Fly Fishing Festival, which by the time you hear this is long over. Okay, so get in line for next year's. It's a fun event. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what was going on, what happened on the podcast a couple weeks ago, where we talked to Brian Donovan about the Crisis on the Bay, which is the episode 160. You can listen to about all things going on with the oyster crisis down on the Gulf. And if you have not already, go check out any number of places. But you can go to our social media account or CCA Texas social media accounts, or there's just tons of places.
Probably most any
saltwater
fly guide on the coast.
Yeah.
Lots of different avenues to get information on that.
And make sure. So by the time this podcast comes out, the in-person meetings would have taken place. But you have until March 23rd to go get your public comment in, which is, like Wes was saying earlier, it is the most important thing. We really need to get the word out to shut down that oyster harvest and just let it be for a little bit. But give episode 160 a listen so you can get all the details on that. And Wes, obviously follow Onioncreek Black Company's Instagram and everybody's Instagram to get all the information you need on that. That's happening. So.
Yeah, and at least shut it down until some assessments can be made. Like, I don't think anybody's talking about wanting to shut anything down permanently, but
no,
it's got to be sustainable.
So. I think the what was it, Austin, that Brian was talking about, the mariculture, where they're basically farming oysters. Like, let's get that. Let's not shut down the harvest of oysters, but let's open that up and let that be the way to sustainably.
It's open. The licensing process is just
a shit show.
Treacherous isn't correct. Is tough. They say, there's like one guy trying to process this. That's clearly not feasible. So they've only issued 2 licenses.
Well, it's brand new.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
But exactly. But it sounds like it needs to be fast tracked, to preserve this ecosystem for sure.
I think that if the folks harvesting the oysters got more involved in that avenue, it would help expedite that process, and then also still protect the natural resource.
Yeah, exactly. Give everybody, it's a win-win for everybody, which I think is there's not very many. I mean, in all aspects of the outdoor, of any type of conservation, where we have the business world colliding with the conservationalist, most of the time it's either one of you wins or the other loses. This is absolutely one of those things where all people could win and benefit. Like, not only just like, well, the oyster guys kind of win. No, they win big time, because on that podcast you would have heard Donovan talk about how that would allow mature oysters to come out in 8 months instead of 2 years. So everybody wins. And those offshore, those deeper kind of man-made reefs that those things would grow on are also just a huge benefit.
They're suspended.
Suspended are also a huge benefit for all the wildlife down there and the eco.
If they could fast track the licensing, it sounds like there's a huge opportunity for the money aspect to make some investments to profit off this heavily, but on the other side, really help the shallow water reefs. So it's a win-win.
It's rare living in a capitalist society that you can have your cake and eat it too, because there's nothing about capitalism and the environment that makes sense.
Nope. This is one incident where everybody could kind of win in this deal.
Yeah, agreed. So make sure you're getting the word out on that. And outside of that, man, Wes, tell me a little bit about the history of Onioncreek and how it started and the whole kind of the backstory, if you will.
Oh man. Like you and I were talking about earlier, I toured with musicians and bands for, I don't know, probably 15, 16, maybe 20 years. And I did that for a long time. I didn't really fish or do much outdoors during that time. I didn't really have a whole lot of opportunities or didn't seek them. I grew up on a farm outside of Waco, so I grew up on plenty of land and had my run of that, and fished the Brazos and Bosque a lot as a kid, hunted our land. But then when I moved to Austin, I just didn't have that opportunity. And as everybody knows, that public lands sometimes in Texas isn't super easy to navigate or find.
It's tough hunting.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost not even worth it.
Yeah.
But depending on
where you're at, what you're doing,
so I basically just took a break from it for a long time, and then fast forward to a couple years ago, I guess maybe 16 or 17, I was just kind of at a crossroads in life. My wife and I we had lost a full-term pregnancy, little boy. So I was kind of searching for some sort of outlet, in a way just to kind of help process what all that was. And it ended up, I called All Water Guides in Austin, and it's just like, hey, I want to book a trip. I'd never been on a guided trip, so I ended up going fishing, and I'd been fishing a little bit before that, just kind of hitting creeks and stuff like that, and
Fly
public
fishing?
areas. Yeah,
Okay.
fly. I don't even own a conventional rig anymore.
Sure.
Rod and reel. I at some point should. I'd like to be a better all around angler, but right now it's just been kind of.
No, I just curious, you know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to slowly but surely convert these other two. Jordan and I have been putting the full court pressure on. Yeah, but
I don't pressure anyone into anything, and
that's not true.
Anywho,
you want to talk about it, Abe? You want to talk about it?
No, I don't.
That's right. Don't bring it up.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I just love the fact that we're releasing this onto YouTube and you're eating the entire time on the podcast.
It's called mukbang. I'm stuffing my face full of food. People love that shit.
So, I'm sorry for our derailment, Wes, but
no worries.
Just kind of fly fishing the creeks and whatnot, and
and then I was just kind of wasn't happy with where I was, and you know, didn't feel like I was accomplishing much. I was out there waving a stick around and wasn't really finding fish or knowing what the hell I was doing. So reading and researched, you know, as much as I could, and then I was like, you know, I'm just going to go out with somebody that knows more than I do, which would help tremendously. It, you know, started putting things together, and had somebody. Then I became pretty good friends with Winston, who I went out with. He was guiding with Alvin at the time, and that just kind of led into more opportunities to fish and that kind of deal. And then we a year after that, maybe a little more. I'm fuzzy on time, but we welcomed our little girl in the world, and that's when I came off the road when my daughter was kind of born, and I kind of stepped into the role of being stay-at-home dad, because I mean, my wife makes way more money than I do, so it just made sense. And I was burnt out. There's somebody that could have done the job better and would want to be there. And the band I was working for at the time, I really liked. I really had respect for them. It was one of the best gigs I had, and they deserved better than what they were getting out of me too. So before I just totally burned all kinds of bridges and ended up, you know, being asked to let go, I went ahead and removed myself from the situation.
Professional.
And that turned out to be the smart thing to do, and staying home with the little one. I mean, she would, you know, take naps for 5 hours a day. And so looking for something to do with that, I started Time Flies. I went saltwater fishing for my first time down the coast. I came back. I kind of saw what, you know, we were fishing with that day. I was like, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
So I went straight to Cabela's and bought, you know, the cheapest vise I could find. Immediately took that back because it was terrible.
Yeah.
And upped the game a little bit and bought something that was still, you know, affordable, but I could get something done on. And I kind of just from there, like the guides that I'd fished with had hit me up for flies and stuff like that. And it just started turning into buddies wanting stuff. And then somebody was like, oh, you should start selling these like everybody else does. So then, of course, my hobby became my job, like it does most of the time.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying it, and I stay pretty busy. By no means am I doing anything unique. I'm not a designer. I don't have any patterns that I've named. I don't try to rename other people's patterns, which is something you see a lot of.
You haven't renamed the clouds or the Wes?
Yeah.
The Mcnew?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I tie patterns that exist, specified to where people are fishing or try to.
I know what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah, the more info I get from the client, the better it is. And if I don't, and they're just like, oh, hey, I'm going to the Bahamas to try to target so-and-so, I just do as much research as I can. I contact people that I know that have been there, or just reach out to the lodge that they're going to or the people they're going with, because at the end of the day, they need their client to, be set up for success.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the reality of it is unfortunately a lot of people consider success by how many fish they catch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, your website's great, man. I'll tell you, the different flies you've got are pretty awesome, dude. I like these Exo crabs.
I tried to keep it needs to be, I need to hire somebody to make a better site. I would like it to be, where you could pretty much totally customize everything. You pick your hook even.
Oh, wow.
Your weight. And that's just a lot of input.
Yeah. That's a lot of programming to try to get all that to.
And I know about that much about it. Like I can update minimal.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you see, like, I mean, I don't even mess with professional photos. It's like pictures in my hand and here it goes, man.
Well, if somebody out there is listening and would like to help Wes in this journey, why don't you just give him a call? Because
and I can pay money or trade. I just haven't sought it out yet because I'm pretty sure what I want to do probably isn't going to be cheap.
I think but I think a website like that would be awesome to have, just a completely build your own fly type site. So.
And and I would still kind of keep what I have too for folks that don't necessarily know what they want.
Yeah.
And where it's just basic stuff, or too, it's I don't have. I mean, I get phone calls. People call, and I'll walk them through everything, and ask the questions. Hey, how deep of water are you fishing?
Yeah.
What color is the water? And just kind of go through that kind of stuff and try to play, match the hatch.
Yeah.
As well as I can. And it's, I wasn't expecting to talk to people as much as I do sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's a guy the other day, I was like, all right, man, the next text I want to hear from you is a picture of you holding a permit because I'm tired of answering questions.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go out there and get the thing wet and put it in front of a fish's face and let it eat. So
and just I'm gonna do the best I can for you. I don't get a whole lot of feedback, period. So
that's the way it goes, right?
No news is good news, I guess.
Sure.
In my industry, that's exactly what it is. When I'm like, I haven't heard from you in 6 months, I'm guessing it's not like you don't know my number, and if something was wrong, you'd call me. So
and it's aside of something just falling apart on them or hook breaking or something like that, there's really it's fishing.
Yeah.
It's pretty
it's I'll tell you, I mean, the night we had kind of reconnected and you kind of talked about tying, you showed us how to tie, like, I guess this is that crab, not crab, but little shrimp pattern.
Yeah.
Man, and it was, you made it very understandable for somebody who's tied some flies, but, is not the best fly tyer in the world, how to make one that's really kind of cool. So,
well, I basically, not that other people don't, but this day and age, we've got a pretty solid library of anything we need at our fingertips. So like I basically learned from YouTube, and I did as much research, bought folks books and did that sort of thing. And now it's even gotten into this day and age where people don't even want to use the information that's at their fingertips. They'd rather just ask questions. And it's like, well, did you read anything? Because the questions you're asking are like right there in front of you.
Yeah. It's in the book.
So I try to do my best, like, especially because, like I said, I'm not inventing my own patterns or anything. So the last thing I'm going to do is go bug the dude that invented it.
Yeah.
And ask a bunch of questions, especially when they put out plenty of literature about it already.
And watching a fly tying video gives you all the information you kind of really need to be like, oh, okay, I can put 2 and 2 together there. So.
Yeah, and I when I got started, I had a hard time with proportions. Because you see it on the screen and you can't really. So I tried to, then I would find like, okay, cool. So I would look at the vise and I'd get my bearing based on what's in the shot with them, because unless somebody puts it in their hand with a lighter or a nickel or something like that, it's hard to visualize.
Kind of conceptualize. Yeah. No, I have I keep all of mine, but I have just a graveyard of flies that are just like, this is horrible looking. This is what happened here.
Yeah.
Jordan, how are you doing on flies?
What do you so like all my flies that I've kept that are bad are hanging off of a couple corks near my vise to kind of just check out. I haven't tied anything in probably 6 months, maybe even more. Especially during hunting season, my tie flying station turned into a catch-all for all my backpacks and bags and all that crap.
Yeah.
That time of the year again.
And it's, a lot of folks that do it, like you'll see wintertime roll around and a bunch of posts will be like, oh, there's fly tying season.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you mean every day?
Every day. Yeah,
for some of us. And, I say that like it's a hassle or something. It's all things that I welcomed.
What it is a hassle is just having all this stuff down here that you've got all the material down there that you've got to somehow figure out how to keep organized and stored.
He's grinning because of your small pile.
What's that?
So he's grinning because of your small pile.
Well,
I'm
grinning because it's just stuff I had to. I'm still tinkering on better ways to store things and keep things. I'm a bit of a Marie Kondo though when it comes to organizing fly tying material.
So what's your hot tip for keeping things organized? And I mean, I'm sure it's different for every little piece of material, but
yeah, I mean, it's I use a lot of like just Plano boxes for some things. So like for instance, this is nothing but rubber legs.
Okay.
So, and then I took all the stickers off and put them up top because I thought someday I'd forget what it was or something. Like I couldn't. Yeah. Like the internet's not like I don't order it. From
yeah, exactly.
But that's OCD kicking in. I do when I'm tying. I kind of keep my hooks and all stuff in these little ramekins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a good word. I didn't know that's what that was called.
Yeah,
ramekin. Say it with me, guys. It's fun.
Ramekin.
Oh, we all were in the restaurant business. We know.
I need a ramekin to ranch to table 36.
Yeah, that's where my ketchup and ranch goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So small stuff like that is just helps me stay organized. I use like those wire things that have the screw like a keychain, like it's a piece of wire and it's got a screw. Like I'll take all my little baggies and just put them on one of those, and that way I can just flip through them.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, like a janitor's keychain, right? Like key ring.
Yeah. Even a shower curtain hook will work.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Or take bead chain with a clasp. Mm-hmm. But anything that you can just put it all together. I used to be anything I can keep in the package, I'll keep in the package.
Yeah.
Just because I'm doing more work, putting it into something else.
Yeah.
But certain things especially things that I travel with, will go into
pack down.
Yeah, their own little containers. Like these are another one. They've got little compartment, like I think it's like 5 or 6 compartments. So I got like all different color eyes in there.
Yeah.
Weight, pill bottles.
Yeah.
Try to, anything that's reusable and hard plastic that we get at the house. My wife's always like, why are you
set it aside?
Why are you keeping that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because I can put something in it and I don't want to just put it in the landfill or pretend it's going to get recycled.
Yeah. No, I've gone through a couple organizing, but then it's like I get into like tying flies like crazy like right now, and it just all gets destroyed because it's like rummaging through it. So
yeah, I definitely go through phases of where my desk is not usable, but I somehow do And then I get
This
tired of
thing
myself.
was the best thing that I got was like one of these like fly tying like
Yep.
organizers. This saves my life. So it's
Yeah,
not sitting in like just a pile anymore.
Yep, something to keep tools in is good. That
And
Renzetti or that foam one's great. I have on my vise, I've got a toolbar where I can, keep all my stuff in it that I need.
I like that. That for sure. Yeah, and I've also got the thread.
Yeah.
Which basically my wife just thinks that I'm a crafter.
Well, yeah.
Don't lie, you scrapbook.
She ain't wrong.
No.
Old farts and crafts.
Scrapbooking.
I mean, I'll go down the arts and crafts. Like, I'll stop and go down and be like, oh, what kind of stuff do you guys have here? Like, oh, I can use this. Like, I can turn this into a fishing lure.
Yeah. I frequent Hobby Lobby and Joanne Fabric, and
I know that the guys over at Sightcast are probably going to shoot me for this, but I have gotten to where I go get my foam from like Hobby Lobby, just buy foam in like big multicolored and then just like glue it together.
Yeah.
I need to get myself one of those fancy foam stamps.
One of those cutters. Yeah.
Yeah, foam cutters.
I saw that they recently came out with an actual like press to go with it them now. Before, they're great and all, but they it's work.
Oh, I was gonna say, for somebody like you, for me, if I'm gonna tie two frogs or something, that's fine. But if you're a production fly tyer, to like have to cut that would be like, oh my god, my hands are gonna. I'm sure your hands are already.
I'm pretty sure the arthritis is going to be fun. It's already starting to kick in some here and there, but one day it'll just.
So, you mentioned you kind of just when you first started on this journey, you went to like Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, and just bought yourself like one of the cheap vices and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and you said you kind of immediately turned it around. So like just from the difference between like that first like entry level one and maybe one that was like $20 more, right? Maybe a little bit more than that, but the next step up. What was the big difference between those?
I want to say the first one I got was like $50 or something like that, 60, and I couldn't really. I could probably use it fine now, but starting out, I couldn't get it to hold a hook very well.
Yeah.
Partially because my hand is way too heavy. I'm wrenching on it because I think I have to, and I still can do that at times.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it to hold the hook. So, getting started with something, to be frustrated with it isn't necessarily
not a good way to make it prolonged.
Yeah. Not a good way to stick it out. So I was just like, okay, cool. Well, I don't want to be it's the vice's fault. It's not mine, but I'm going to try something different before I just,
sure.
Go back to this. And, the great thing about Cabela's is it's basically a Walmart. You can take anything back.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of was my philosophy. I'm going to just try what they have.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a Peak brand rotary vise. And for the money, I still think it's the best vise on the market for, I think they're maybe $100, $150 or something like that. But they're solid. You hold it in your hand. It's like, oh yeah, this is a tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart, and the jaws hold well on them. And
that's what you're using there.
What's that?
That's what you're using there.
No, this is actually a Norvise. I've probably tied on every major brand, just looking for one of those things. It's like guitarists always in search for the perfect tone. I was in search for the thing that worked best for what I was doing. And then I just had to realize that, there's no one vise that is going to be perfect for everything. So there for a while I was running a few different ones. And then I ended up talking to Norvise and being on their team and kind of going that way. I've been looking at them for a while just because as much as I tie, like the way that these have bearings in them and like just spin like crazy.
Yeah.
Just kind of kind of just helps make things faster, especially when I'm doing things like when I'm tying big orders of crabs, I'm doing a prep on it. And all I'll do is I'll go through and do as many crabs as I'm going to tie, and I'll just put dumbbells on my hooks. So that's all I'll do for that step. And then from there, I go whatever the next step is, depending on what I'm tying. And just being able to spin that to get a good thread base on makes it so much quicker than sitting here.
Yeah, that is quick. That's
so
cool.
It was mainly just a functionality and time saving thing. And I had my eye on them for a while, and then I realized a dude that Greg Wielander, who used to be a manager at Sportsman's Finest in Austin, which is our fly shop there, or one of the shops there. He had moved on, and he's being the local rep for several different brands. And I noticed Norvice was one of his brands that he was repping down here in Texas. So I just called Greg and was just like, hey man, I want to get some more info. And we kind of did that. And then nothing really came of it. And I called back a couple months later. I was like, hey man, I need to get my hands on a Norvice, like how we make that happen. So he talked to them, and it just kind of worked out to where it's like, oh, well, we got some room if you
come on board,
want to come on board and be a part of Team Norvice, which essentially, means I get an industry discount on the tools that I'm using.
Yeah.
Nobody giving me anything.
Yeah, nothing's for free, right?
No. And then I reciprocate with, of course, talking about them when I'm tying places or social media, or I'm at the Texas Fly Fishing Festival this weekend. I'm going to go tie at their booth and demo and do that sort of thing. So
it's like when I got to see it when we were at the Tailwaters thing, it's an awesome vice,
it's very, I would say, compared to all the other major brands, it's pretty different.
Yeah.
As in, it doesn't really look like them. Then the basic things it does are the same. It holds a hook. Yada yada. But typically, your other brands, look like that.
Like a Renzetti. Yeah.
Lots of folks tie on Renzetti or Dyna Kings or but yeah, this and the way the bearings are.
Mine doesn't spin quite as easy.
Yeah. I thought in my head, oh yeah, this will definitely help kind of speed up production. And it has. I was worried that it was going to be gimmicky, and that's why, a lot of people don't use them or whatever. But man, the more people I talked to and just kind of picked their brains on them, they were just like, yeah, I think what you're hoping to gain from it is legitimate. It'd be worth a shot. So
yeah,
I did. And it took me, it didn't take super long, but there's still, functions of it that I don't use that I could be doing better with. But I'm just so used to doing it the other way that it doesn't make any sense. Cause like it's got this post over here where you can kind of dock your bobbin, and this bobbin, it's proprietary to Norvice as well, but it's automatic. So it retracts.
Oh, no,
so you don't have
that's crazy.
You don't have to roll your stuff back up. So you can put that there, and then you can, spin freely here. You can put your dubbing, like as you're spinning, you can dub it right there, and then take it and wrap it.
That's super sweet.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things about, having the right tool for the job. And there's lots of tools that'll get the job done. And it just depends on what your budget is and, that time to money to whatever ratio that people got to figure out.
I think they're cool.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is that paying to tie my own flies, it's easier just to buy my own flies.
Every podcast we've done about this, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. It's actually true. It's 100% true.
Have Wes the professional do it. He's got the gear.
No doubt. But there is something to doing it yourself. There is something to catching a fish. It is fun, like if I wasn't going to Baton Rouge this weekend, I would just be spinning up all matters of sand bass flies that I will, hang in a tree, so it's a lot of fun to sit and watch TV or just like tie and, drink a beer.
Yeah. I mean, I catch up on, all podcasts while I tie, or, I mean, I haven't reached the end of all of the streaming platforms yet, but I've got to be close.
I'm with you, man.
The other day or last week when all of the water crisis stuff in Florida was happening and the Senate was meeting, like I was like, oh, well, let's see what Florida.gov and what's going on in the Senate. Yeah. So I just sat there and listened to the actual Senate hearings and whatnot. So
being a grown up is a lot of fun, right?
God, it's fucking terrible, but but not being informed is pretty terrible.
Even worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
as much as it sucks, it if you don't stay informed, things like happen in Florida will happen all the time, and they'll try to pass some bill in the middle of the night to fuck something up.
Yeah, that's what they're real good at doing that. That's for sure. So we talked about kind of just the your struggles at the very beginning, and it was mine as well. And I think I speak for Jordan, but Jordan was much better at this than I was. But just those proportions, what was kind of your, you'd kind of mentioned, looking at the shank or looking at the vise and kind of that picture and kind of trying to put it into perspective. But are there any other tips that you had to?
Take, like I said, I learning basically from YouTube and wherever I could. There's a cat up in Michigan, Gunnar Bramer, who is, a Jedi for the particulars of things. Like he's got some courses online where he kind of takes you through like fly design, how to do it. And he basically breaks things up into like the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
And, measuring from your hook, using your hook shank as a measure. So if I was going to put a tail on this, like I would typically, for me, I'd go a hook shank and a half to 2 hook shanks, depending on what I'm targeting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the shorter you keep it, the less it's probably going to foul, unless you put some sort of foul guard or foul prevention involved in it. But just really listening to, how to proportions, having tail, body, head, and making them proportion to each other. Instead of trying to, guess as I was going along.
Yeah.
Helped a lot. Or just by feel, which I could do if I'm just tying for myself or tying, one of something. But if I'm going to tie, 12 dozen of the same thing, I want there to be some sort of uniformity to it.
Yeah.
I want it to look like the same dude tied them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where going in this like production tying steps of like, I start with all my dumbbells, and then I'll go to like with this particular fly, I'll put the tail and the feathers, which would be the claws and the mouth parts on, and then the rubber legs for arms, for legs. And then that's that step. And then I'll come back later and I'll do glue on all the bodies.
Yeah.
So it'll just be sit there and like glued up hands, fingers stuck together, but I don't have to touch anything else because that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I've just found that doing it that way has helped me kind of keep some sort of uniformity, and it also makes it not as monotonous, and it feels like I'm getting more done. Because if I have to sit there, if I tied 12 dozen of these one at a time, like I don't know if my mental health could handle that, to be honest.
Get pretty bored pretty quick.
Yeah.
Is there a certain pattern you sell the most of, most popular?
Man, I tie a lot of what is basically a raghead crab, but basically weighted and colored for permit in the Yucatan. yeah, there's lots of folks that, other than Florida, that's probably the closest, most affordable place to go. I would probably even say more affordable than going to Florida, but most of closest, most affordable place to go target permit.
Yeah.
And Belize is kind of, it's, I would say pretty affordable too, depending on where you're going and that sort of deal. But travel to Mexico it's pretty easy.
We'll be there in 1 month from today.
For the most part.
Yep.
And that's where I have the most experience targeting permanent bonefish and tarpon. So
yeah,
I don't really like to speak on things that I don't know shit about.
Yeah.
So even if I do know a little bit about it, I'm still hesitant to at times speak on it, but I can at least fake my way through it a little bit better. But there's lots of trips running down there. I tie for 2 shops currently that run trips down there. So they're buying from me and selling to their clients that are going on those trips.
Yeah.
So that's why this is probably, and that's what I'm working on right now. Like I think I got 24 dozen of them that I need to get done in the next month or so.
Dang.
So yeah, I'm starting to prep on them now. And as I get more ordered, like internet orders or folks calling me custom orders, like I could take breaks in this and make sure that I get those folks taken care of as well. So I just balance it like that. At times I'll have, several different projects going at once.
Yeah.
Or I'm waiting on material order for one or whatever.
That makes sense. One thing that I've wanted to kind of start trying to tinker with, and I wonder if you have, which is putting a spinner on a fly, like a blade spinner on a fly. Have you messed around with that at all?
So usually will make you a lure, huh?
Well, I mean, so I feel like I heard
nothing wrong with it. I just
no. I mean, I heard somebody the other day talking about sand bass fishing, and he was like, you just need to figure out if they want something shiny or something that wiggles. And so I was like, okay, that's kind of a interesting way to put it. And I was like, I wonder. And I've fished with Sean before, and he's had some flies that have had a spinner on them, and just was very interested about how you tie that on, and if you've done that before.
I haven't done much with it. I'm by no means a purist at all, but I think if I need to have a spinner blade on something,
then
I might need to venture into looking at a different delivery method.
Yeah. Get yourself a
It's like when we were sand bass fish on the Sabine and you needed to drop your fly, and I was like, put a split shot on there, and your words were, you can't do that. Do you remember that, Abe?
Yeah, I do.
And then Sean was like, I don't know what he's talking about. You should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I carry usually, like, especially if I'm traveling to go like some destination fish, I carry a little thing of tungsten putty with me that you would buy for pine box derby racing cars to weight them.
Yep.
And I keep that with me because that stuff is sticky and malleable. And I can put it in if I need to, I can put it where I want the weight to go. Like if I want it to, keel, hook up, I can adjust it on the hook and stick it on there and roll it on the hook. Or if I want it to be on my tippet to where it's, creating that, weight here and fly being able to kind of do that in water column.
Yeah.
And that's if I'm not, usually if I'm local, I usually have especially if I'm fishing freshwater, I'll have an intermediate line.
Okay.
With me. Yeah. I typically will carry a floating and a sinking just because if I'm fishing a weightless streamer, and I still need it to get down, I'll use that intermediate or sink tip.
Yeah. That's what I've started to do now is I've got 2 setups, and I've got one that's, just a straight floating line, and the other's a sinking. And So I'm looking to go. I've always kind of done some fly rods, some conventional, and I think I'm just going to burn the bridge this year and just do it and all fly rod the entire year.
Yeah, I mean it. And I'm on the other side. I'm like, oh man, I want to go offshore and do some grocery shopping at some point. And I don't want to do it with a fly rod because there's
No.
Sounds
definitely
like Abe's going to have a bunch of fishing tackle to give you soon. So
Not giving it
You
up.
don't want his conventional tackle.
That's true.
And I honestly don't know if anybody ever wants me to have their bait caster anyway, because Lord knows I've got no business with one of those in my hands. Like I'm more like Zebco 303 or spinning a reel.
Yeah, just
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with
them.
Zebco.
That's caught more fish than any other reel on the market.
100%.
No
Absolutely.
question.
so kind of just a quick thing here. I've got 4 species of fish. Just kind of throw out your preferred fly for that species. So we've got sand bass.
Off the top of my head, you got to fuck one, marry one, kill one. Kill.
Shit.
Your wife, Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey.
So are we talking fish head, female bottom? Are we talking?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Or are we talking
Reverse
female
mermaid.
head, fish bottom?
Reverse
mermaids? Yes.
Reverse mermaids, yes. So sand bass, largemouth bass, carp, and catfish.
Man, we just made that easy and throw a clouser at all of them.
Clouser, okay.
But I would say if I'm fishing, if I wanted to catch a catfish, I would want to fish something on the bottom. So
have you caught a catfish on a fly rod?
What's that?
You've caught catfish on a fly rod?
Oh, absolutely. There
Yeah.
she is.
That is.
There she is. There's my girl.
Is that Drew? No, is that just you're on mute?
That's on Google. I
Okay.
just Googled it.
That seems like a Drew.
The computer that's right here.
So yeah, I have caught catfish. I'm not going to say I was targeting them. It's definitely bycatch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've caught my fair share of them. I've caught them on, kind of crawfish jig type things that I'm fishing deep with. I've caught them on clousers. So yeah, I would say that, anything that's on the bottom that's, buggy.
Yeah.
I think they tend to eat more buggy things than they would fish, but I'm not going to pretend to be a catfish expert.
You're not a catfish on the fly guy? I like that one too.
I mean, I'm not afraid to bring one in. But I don't target them. I guess I might have sometimes. Like I live on Onioncreek, so it's in my backyard. So there's been times that I've probably been like, oh, I'm going to catch that catfish.
Yeah.
And just keep throwing things at it and not catch it.
See what happens.
I caught them on accident. I'd say for a carp, anything that's all going to be kind of buggy stuff too. I don't carp fish a whole lot, but I'd say like if it had to be just straight something from my website, there's a thing called a briminator on there that's typically for panfish, but I'll tie it on a different hook for carp.
Yeah.
And maybe add a little bit of rubber legs or some peacock curl to it. And I've caught some carp on that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the guy.
And then largemouth. Man, there was a time that I kept the same white game changer on my freshwater setup for, I want to say, over a year. I think I finally might have lost it just because the tippet was so old and brittle.
Yeah, it's time to.
But I literally, I mean, I'm not gonna say I put well over 20 or 30 fish on it. Not gonna say that they were all big and huge or anything like that, but it wouldn't leave something similar to that. These pictures are so terrible too. Oh man, I got to do something about my website. And then sand bass or
one of the
white
hardest flies
bass.
to tie. The finesse, the game changer.
Yeah.
It seems like a very difficult fly to tie.
Man, there is so many resources on it.
Yeah.
That if, it's time consuming, I won't lie.
Yeah.
And it's super repetitive because you're essentially, people that are used to tying small flies, you're essentially tying like 6 flies.
Okay.
By, switching, having to do it on the shanks.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's literally just palmering the entire time. Where I think folks get tripped up on it is trimming them.
Yeah.
And I mean, shit, those you just showed on screen were pretty terrible. And that's just part of it. I'm constantly in a competition with myself. I know that it's going to do what it's supposed to, but now it's like, I want it to look this way.
Yeah.
If it doesn't look this way, I'm never going to be happy. But part of that was just like literally tying hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And then also using scissors that were legit. Like, I would say that if you're going to, spend money on something ridiculous tying wise, scissors should be one of them.
I invested in a solid pair of scissors here, the Dr. Slick.
Yeah.
They were worth their weight in gold.
I think trimming anything like that, bait fish wise or big stuff like that, like try to use some like as long a pair of scissors as I can.
Yeah.
That way I'm not doing this. It's one cut down it. And then from there, like these are actually Enrico Puglisi, and I use those for super long flies or big flies. But my typical ones are these, and they're called Renome Super Cuts. They have a serrated edge on one side, so they're gripping the hair and all that stuff, and you're going to get a good smooth cut. And then for sand bass, I would say I do a clouser, but I tie it with coyote hair, so a coyote clouser, which is basically just literally a dumbbell for how I want it to get down, some flash of some sort, and a tuft of coyote hair, and it's done. I don't waste a whole lot of time on white bass or sand bass flies. They're either going to eat it or they're not. And odds are it's going to, like you said, it needs to wiggle or it needs to flash or it needs to be this color. And it usually doesn't take long to figure it out if you have it.
Yeah. Austin, I need you to go get me some coyote.
There was one sitting in front of my house last night, like I said. Craziest thing.
Get it done.
Apparently there's been a couple in the neighborhood around here recently, so.
Yeah. Got yourself a coyote tail there.
Yeah, they're if you can harvest them yourself, of course, great. If not, I get mine from a actual like fur place now.
Yeah.
Up, I don't even know where, like maybe in Maine or something somewhere. Like it ends up being like probably scraps for like fur coats or fur accessories and stuff like that. But I can get like 4 of these big, nice tails for, I think like $12 or something.
Oh, wow.
Whereas like if you're buying like actual fly tying material, you get this much for like $6.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's usually pretty shitty patch of hair. So
yeah, I'm Austin, have you ever gotten one yourself and made it, done that whole thing, or
shot it and cut
special
its
thing you
tail
need
off?
to do, like shot a coyote and then use that as, to tie flies with?
are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh,
It sounded like you were asking Austin just then.
Yeah.
That's why
I
Austin
really
is
apologize.
confused right now, and so
That
is
was a
Wes.
terrible.
Yeah, Austin, did you ever do this one time?
Did you do this the one time?
I was like, I don't tie flies.
I have not harvested my own coyote and skinned it or anything like that.
Yeah.
once again, it's if somebody was like, "Hey, man, you want to come over to my place and shoot a bunch of coyotes?" I'd be like, "Sure, I'll come shoot some coyotes."
Yeah.
But I haven't had the opportunity. I haven't hunted a lot. I'd like to do more of it, but opportunities are tough, and I've got so much kind of invested in fishing right now that if I was to be like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go get on a deer lease somewhere," I would probably have to go do that by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And it just ain't worth it. And I'm not really, I want to just go sit on a feeder and pop something anyway. That's one step above going to HEB.
It's kind of what it is for a lot of us sometimes. We call it grocery store hunting,
Yeah, no, I get it.
There's still a lot of luck, but it ain't effortful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm not by no means knocking it. It's just the bang for your buck sort of thing, and it's nice to be guaranteed something, even though it's not always a guarantee, but you got a better chance. But
definitely have a better chance at the least than you do trying to hunt Tawakoni for whitetail deer. I'll say that.
Yeah. I've just, as much money as I've got tied up in a skiff and all that kind of stuff to be able to even, afford whatever it costs to go cull a deer from a feeder is just, and the time in it. It just hasn't happened. I'm not saying it won't one day.
Sure.
Well, I guess that's all my questions.
I gotta ask. My turn. So I saw a few years back. I recently got rid of my Instagram, kind of got back on it to help out with the Storm Onioncreek page. But I used to follow a guy named Chuck Reagan, who's a fly fisherman.
Yeah.
And I recall going to see him in Austin right before pandemic stuff hit, and he was fishing. And scrolling through recently, when Abe said we're going to have you on, just kind of checking out your feed, I saw that you were the guy fishing with him. So I got to ask, how did that get hooked up? And I've reached out to Chuck Reagan before to try to get him on the podcast, just because huge fan of his music, and also, the guy's a damn good fisherman. He guides and whatnot. I'd love to talk to him sometime just about his fishing. And so I just saw that and was like, oh my God, I got to ask him how it was. And, how that got hooked up.
Man, Chuck is, first of all, an awesome human being. Great fisherman, great artist, all around solid human being. The guy that I'd mentioned earlier, the guide that I had guided with or went out with on my first trip, Winston, I think Winston had fished with him before. Chuck and I kind of started talking on social media. He'd bought flies from me, that sort of deal. And then either him or Winston was just like, "Hey, we're going to fish when Chuck's in town. Come on." So it was just, kind of right place, right time.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't super familiar with Chuck's music at the time, but yeah, he's solid all the way around, man.
Oh yeah.
He's one of those guys. In my experience with him, I don't think I could find something bad to say about him. So, Chuck, if you happen to listen to this, come to these guys' podcast.
Yeah. I just, I saw that. I was curious, but you and Abe were talking about just old, music stuff, and you had mentioned your, I guess kind of, I guess your origin, really starting to dive headfirst into what you're into now, and the tie-in and the business. And it kind of happened that way for me. I a little differently. I worked in a tattoo shop for a long time and didn't have time for that. 60 hours a week at a tattoo shop, and then touring. And touring, I'm out of town. I don't know, anywhere between 4 to 6 months a year. Just left no time for that. And when I use the term retired, when I quit the tattoo shop to try to tour full time, and that did not work. So I got a regular job, left all this free time, and it was kind of like, what do I do? And thankfully, a buddy of mine, Wes Mcnew, he's friends with Nate down there in Austin. He had invited me out to go hunt a little bit. And I fished the pond there, and I was like, oh, bass fishing is real fun. And, it just snowballed. And so soon, we talked about it. Abe really wants to get me and Austin into fly fishing. It'll me and Austin always discuss. Eventually, it'll happen. I think I'm a little more receptive to it than Austin is. Only just because Austin knows as soon as he gets into it, he's going to dump a shit ton of money into it, and he doesn't want to do that.
That's exactly it. My OCD and my 110% or 0%. It's like, all right, I need $2,000 here, like right today, And so I'm not unreceptive. I've made it this far and come to know myself, and I've already got a garage full of things. Upon closer to retirement, or if my wife ends up making a shitload of money and I can be a domestic assistant, which I've titled stay-at-home husband, then I'll absolutely take up fly fishing.
Yeah, no, it's sort of like I was saying with hunting. I'd love to do it, but it's like finding the time. And
I can say if you ever want to pig hunt and you want to come up here, we got all kinds of places to pig hunt.
Oh man, I'd love to come.
So you call it, say the word. That's
or if nothing else, just sit around and watch y'all get drunk and tattoo each other.
I mean, you got tattoos, you can join in.
Yeah, we'll give you a tattoo. I won't because I'm horrible at it.
But Abe's not allowed to touch anyone with a tattoo machine ever.
No, I am no.
I have a limp now.
One of the properties we have to pig hunt on has a stocked bass pond, so it's a great way to go out. A few hours before dusk, catch a few fish, drink a couple beers. Like, cool. All right, let's wander out to the fields with some thermal or night vision and go take a peek. So it's a great evening, great summer evening right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, and sometime this summer, if y'all want to meet up on the coast somewhere, I'm happy to take a couple of y'all out. We do a couple days. I take a couple of y'all one day, a couple of y'all the next, and get y'all out there and try to catch a redfish. So
I've never caught a redfish.
No,
that's crazy. I've caught piles of trout. I've fished the coast for redfish. I've hooked up a giant redfish in a work fishing tournament, and that was the last cast of the day, and that thing broke off. I threw my rod in the boat and said, we're going back. That was the end of that. But I've never put a redfish on shore or on a boat.
Well,
either.
It's got to happen. Do you have it either, Jordan?
I would love to help you do that, man. So,
man, I'll trade some pig hunts and beer for that all day.
Yeah, dude, I'm all about that. That's I'd rather do that any day than pay someone or be paid to go hunting or fishing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'll be fun. We'll take the gribble down there.
No gribble.
So the gribble is my duck boat. It's surface drive. It's a great boat. It's a great boat for what we do. We took it to the coast. Was last year? Was that last year?
It was 2 years ago for my birthday. We went down to fish with Nate and his brother.
Was that footage of that Nate was talking about it being rough? I was like,
that doesn't know justice to it. It was terrifying.
So dead flat bottom. I mean, dead flat. And we got some 2 and 3 foot rollers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just done with it by the end. I mean, we were out there all day. Brace. It's tiller steer. So just fighting that wind and bracing that tiller into my thigh. It was half a softball by the end of that day. I sat down on the couch and set 4 beers on the coffee table and said, I'm going to sit here and drink all of these, and I'm not getting up for anything else till they're gone. Like I don't
want to talk to any of y'all.
Yeah, like I'm done with this. This guy gets it.
Yeah.
It was fun, but it was a whip. So no, we
need to go back down.
We ain't taking that boat.
Time down there.
We can take some kayaks and.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
a couple of us go kayak, couple go out. Yeah.
So a couple of y'all one day go DIY it, and a couple of y'all fish with me, and then swap it up.
Yeah. Totally into that. We can chuck them all in the flatbed and take it.
Yes.
Easy.
That sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Wes, I can't thank you enough for joining us on the podcast again. Just a quick, where can somebody buy flies? I don't know what you're showing us.
You can go to
website for Wes.
Flycompany.com is my website. Once again, like we talked about earlier, it's not that great. Pictures are old. You can contact me on Instagram. You can call me. You can email me. We can talk about it. If it's something that's on my website, I'm just going to tell you to go to my website and order it. If it's not, we'll talk about how to make it happen. But if there's anything you need to be walked through or have questions, I'm always happy to sit down and talk with somebody and walk them through it. If you're if you're wanting to start tying or start fishing, or if there's anything like that you want to discuss, I'm always happy to share any knowledge I have, because somebody shared it with me, and if they didn't, I wouldn't know. And I want to do my best not to be a gatekeeper of that knowledge and be able to pass it along. So
yeah,
and I know that it sometimes can be.
There's people in every industry that feel
downright terrible trying to talk to somebody about things. So
there are gatekeepers in every industry, and I mean that seems unnecessary for a dying sport. But the outdoors under such fire right now. So
yeah,
everybody be cool.
Be cool,
I think
man.
that if we did a better job of bringing more folks into the fold, we would have more folks to advocate for what we have left.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my philosophy. I know it's not everybody's. I think that saving what we have left of wild places, though, is something that folks can get away from their sides and should be able to come in agreement with, that we need to do this sooner than later. And that it's not about fighting about blue or red or what bathroom someone's using. It's shit's actually dying and going away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well said, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun. Abe, it's been fun catching up. Look forward to getting to know the rest of you guys. Jordan, I don't even know, dude. All I see is your name on a black screen. So
you're welcome.
Where's the mute?
Yeah.
You don't remember Inspector Gadget? Didn't he wasn't the call guy like behind the desk or something? Can't remember. He's a bad guy behind the screen. You never see his face.
Yeah, you never.
The incredible
guitar player
behind the curtain.
Isn't there a guitar player that doesn't show his face, like Buckethead or something?
Yeah, there's lots of them these days.
Doesn't the guy from Tool do that, or somebody?
I don't know.
That's
there
Jordan.
He is.
There's Jordan.
Oh, hey, Jordan.
Jordan's hey guys, it's me, Jordan. I'm on the podcast. So happy to see you.
He looks. You look like Rip right there.
You do. He does.
That's him on a teal hunt.
That looks like he was in a outdoor magazine shoot. It's very professionally shot.
Very serious.
Yeah,
very
serious.
photogenic.
Yeah, unlike my friend Austin over here.
It's bad.
Yeah,
it's
I
real
got
bad.
a face for radio, that's for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Me too. Whew.
Well, thank you guys very much for listening to the podcast. Go check out Wes. Go please. Jesus, it's even more like Rip on that one. Please go leave a public comment to kind of put a stop or put a temporary halt on this oyster harvest, and let's not screw up something over some oysters, man.
Yes, please. Like before you buy anything from me or visit my website, go visit TPWD, go to Flatsworthy, go check CCA, go find that link and leave a comment.
100%.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate it, guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, and hopefully we can do more of these video podcasts. We'll see. Who knows? It's still
appreciate it, guys. Hopefully we can all go fish or shoot pigs sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Say
that
win.
Sounds awesome, man.
Say win.
Yeah. Too brightly.
Stormwater Creek is the best. Grinch, the captain. Abe, the helper. Jordan, the problem solver. I hope you like Stormwater Creek. Stormwater Creek.